Good evening. I am going to wait just a couple of minutes for our guest to join us so that we can introduce her and tell you about our author interview for tonight. While we're waiting, we are doing a summer author series, and so the author who will be with us tonight is just one of many throughout the summer for our series. And so when we leave here tonight, Instagram, we're going to be hopping over to Facebook Live because we're meeting another author there at 8 o'clock. So thank you for joining us. We are excited about some new partnerships that we will be announcing very soon, so stay tuned for that. Follow us on hadassahscrownpublishing.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on Twitter. We are all over the place trying to keep you updated with all of our many publications. So we're just excited at the expansion and the growth and for your continued support. So thank you so much for that. So because our author is here, I'm going to go ahead and invite her to join us, and we're going to start it. So we do have author Tonya Woods with us tonight. She's the author of several books, and there she is. So you can see she is multi-talented. She is beautiful as well. So I'm going to turn it over to her. We didn't come tonight to hear me talk, but she has so many books, it's hard for me to even keep up. So our first project together was several years ago when she did this cutie, Under the Tree. And then she followed that series up with In the Garden. And then she did a 30-day devotional, which is entitled Soul Lift, 30 Days, 30 Ways to Lift Your Soul. And then she partnered with a group of ladies. If you'll remember, we had a big launch back around Christmas. We had one to encourage all of our sons. Tonya was a part of that fabulous project. And since then, she has published the teen and tween edition of Soul Lift because she was so into lifting adults that she really found that she has a niche for lifting up young ladies. And I have had the privilege of attending a session where she really made our young ladies feel good about themselves and gave them leadership skills, problem solving skills, confidence to go out and to conquer many challenges in this world. And so that's what she's here to talk about tonight. However, she is now a part of another collaboration, and I want to give her the opportunity to talk about that as well. So she is a mother, she is an author, she is a veteran educator, she is just a delightful, beautiful person. So we appreciate you for joining us tonight. I see Miss Volante Grant, who I just love and think a lot of. And I know there will be others joining, but anyone who watches this after it's actually shared, we appreciate you as well. So good evening, Tonya. I would like for you to start. Fill in the gaps. Tell the audience anything that you would like to about yourself that I left off, and then you can jump right in talking about the Teen Tween Soul Lift.
Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Always excited.
So I have been writing for a long time. I started writing just as a way to have a voice because I come from not a large immediate family, but a large extended family, and I am the second youngest. So if you can imagine the aunts, uncles, cousins, and second cousins and all of those, there was a lot of chatter and banter whenever we got together, and sometimes I didn't feel like I was being heard. So I started writing for that purpose and to just get out my feelings, as many feelings as you can have as an elementary school student. You don't have that many problems, but I started with a diary first, just writing down simple one-sentence things, and then I continued to write. In ninth grade, I had a teacher who said, "You know what? You write good poetry," and she really encouraged me. Her name was Miss Love, and she was awesome at encouraging me to write, and I just continued to write throughout. I knew I loved writing. I wrote mostly poetry early on, then went to Furman University and became an educator, and we had to write a children's book in one of our, we called it Kitty Lit, our Kitty Lit class. And from that moment, I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do at some point. I put it off for a long time because a long time my writing had been my own thoughts. So I did not want to share them as much with everybody. But from some strong encouragement from my father, my brother, I decided to leap with Under the Tree, which you showed a little bit earlier. And that has just sparked something in me to continue to write. So I'm very excited about the process, and thank you for all of your help with getting published and staying on track and staying encouraged with it. So as you mentioned, I first wrote Soul Lift 30 Days, 30 Ways to Lift Your Soul. It is a 30-day devotional book, and it's for adults. And I have a young lady who goes with me when I go to events. She helps me sell, and she and some other young ladies said, well, when are you going to write something for us? And I thought, well, you know what? I do work with your age group. I probably could write something that might be beneficial. So one day when we were at an event, I sat her down and I said, okay, let's talk. Let's start writing. And she really advised me on her age group. So she didn't write a lot in the book, but she advised me on activities and different questions that might be good. And, you know, I cast an idea to her and she said, yeah, I don't know about that one. Or, oh, that's good, that's good. So I'm really excited about this book, especially because I do believe our young ladies need so much encouragement. You know, we hear a lot now about trauma. That's a word I'm hearing a lot on social media, in the news about trauma, traumatic relationships, trauma bonds. And I really believe if we get our girls early into healing whatever they're going through and dealing with it at that moment, that they don't grow up to have so much of the trauma that we're talking about right now. Or at least if they've had the trauma, they've been able to heal from it and work through it. So this book, the Little Ladies book, is really comparable to the 30 Days, 30 Ways book. If a parent or an advisor for a girls group is interested in the book for their young ladies, they can also do the adult book, which if they follow along day by day and do the activities, again, they're very comparable. Of course, the teens can't do some of the activities that I have the adults do because they don't drive and different things, limitations they may have. But it really would be great to do with a group of girls, which I will be doing it with my girls in the fall. I did have a young lady and her mother who actually went through the 30 days together. And one of her comments was, it really gave them an opportunity to have some conversations that they had not had. It really gave them an opportunity to strengthen their connection to each other. So I'm really, really excited about that project.
That's awesome. So I remember the promptings that you received to go ahead and do it. And it was that same way for me because I received pushes from people to go ahead and write that middle school novel. I had always wanted to do it, but I just had not taken the time to do it. And when I did it, I decided I'm going to make this a series to make myself commit to that process to continue going. And so you were very faithful to your followers. You listened and you did that. And what I like about the book is that the educator in you comes out. It comes out in everything that you do, but you always give assignments. But the assignments are so very worthy, and hopefully, I know with my reading it, I'm not too lazy or hesitant to do it because even in reading the question, you can see the good that it's going to do. It's not just frivolous. It's not just something to, take up time or take up space. These are really thoughtful, thought-provoking that will really help you take a moment to reflect on life, reflect on how you feel, and to validate yourself and to, shake out or sift out any negative emotions. So you start off with childhood memories, experiences that are beneficial, and just sometimes like, did you see the sunrise? how did that make you feel? And encouraging us to take in nature as your first children's book series did. You know, there's so much that our creator has gifted us with that we have to slow down and smell the roses. We have to take in the sunset. We have to take in, you know, the waves when we get an opportunity to get to the ocean. And so that's just a part of your writing and your writing style. So there are also just verses that encourage the reader as well. I know that there was a great response to Soul Lift because you had some Facebook groups where people could go through the 30 days together. What have you been able to accomplish with the little ladies at this point?
At this point, not a whole lot. With the pandemic, I really have been working on some other things, but in the fall, I will start back. With this coming out in April, I didn't have a lot because, you know, it was towards the end of school,
Mhm.
and a lot of my girls were going out of town and doing different things. So I want to do the Little Ladies book with them first, with the group that I work with monthly or every couple of months at least, and take them through the 30 days and really get their response and really make sure that I've provided the experience that I hope to provide in the book. The first 10 days are all about reflecting. So it's little things that they could do to think about when they had joy the last time or a happy occasion and things like that. And then the second section is them doing something. And I try to take people out of their comfort zones because we get into a rut. We do the same things over and over and over again. And we think, why is my life not exciting? Well, we
Mhm.
didn't, you know, there's, like I said, a whole world for us
Mhm.
to explore. And
Mhm.
we need to show that to our girls as much as we can. And then the last 10 days is about being. It's all affirmations, it's all getting them to think positively about themselves because I do know, having worked in the middle school for 24 years, that our young ladies and our young boys as well do not have the greatest self images. They don't have a lot of good self esteem. And I think a lot of that comes from us as adults not giving them those tools to be resilient and think positively about themselves in certain situations. So I really wanted them to do that. And then at the end, I offered them an opportunity to contact me. Once they've written their little mantra for their lives and just an opportunity for them to reflect on everything they've done over the 30 days and really to write something of their own that they can hold on to and look back at during the times where they feel, okay, I'm sliding back into a rut.
Awesome. Wow. Well, you answered my next question because I was going to ask you, in my opinion, you're a middle school expert because you've been at the middle school so long. And I do know from being an educator that that is a special calling. So I did 1 year of student teaching at the middle level, but all of my teaching experience was spent at the high school. Administration is where I started at the high school and then on to the district level, but I've always had a heart for middle school. And my question to you is going to be, what do you see as the biggest need? I know you've talked about the trauma that, you know, society in general is dealing with, but for these young ladies, and I'm not so far removed because my books truly try to focus on building our children up, giving them self-esteem, self-confidence in who they are, how they look, embracing their hair, embracing their features that are different from anybody else. That one thing that you're often picked on, that's what you have to embrace and, you know, leverage to catapult you to where you need to be, because that's your uniqueness and that's what you have to learn to love about yourself. And I remember being in middle school, anything that was picked on you started to resent, and that's a time where you really start to look at your outer appearance and compare yourself to others, and everything's just so external at that point, which is very unfortunate. And so I am so glad that you recognize that and you are writing to uplift our ladies. So thank you for that. So is there anything else you would like to share about lifting little ladies before you tell us about your new project?
Sure. I really want us to remember as adults when we were that age and remember that they really don't know how to navigate life. they have social media, they have cell phones now, but a lot of times they're just given these items or given access to something, but they really don't know how to navigate it. I spoke to a new teacher recently, and I said, you know what I want you to remember when you go into the classroom? And this is what I need us to remember as adults when we're talking to little ladies, again, and our young men. If
Mhm.
we want them to know something, we need to teach them. If we want them to know how to navigate social media, we need to teach them how to navigate social media. We can't expect them to get on because they've seen us on our phones uh,
Mhm.
and be able to say, okay, I don't need to look at this, or I need to cut this off, or okay, I've had enough time on. No, we need to teach them those things. And the other thing, going back to under the tree and in the garden, get our babies outside. Let them get into nature. Let them breathe fresh air. Let them get the vitamin D from the sun. Let them fall. Our kids don't know how to fall. They break everything every time they fall somewhere because they don't know how to fall. We climbed trees and ran in the street and fell off our bicycles and everything else. But these are all tools that we learn to navigate life.
That's true.
Have to give our children experiences
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they can learn these things in safe places so that when they leave us, when they get older, or we give them a little bit more leeway at camp or at a friend's house, then while they may not always choose to do the right thing, that right thing is right here. And they're going to remember that mama said, or auntie said, or grandma or grandpa said, or whomever. They're
Mhm.
going to remember, again, whether they choose to do that or not.
Mhm.
But at least we've given them the tools that they need to.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. And so we have another retired educator who's also an author, and she will be interviewing with us soon. Minister Shirley Ann Johnson. She's saying exactly, teach the children, and she appreciates your wonderful tips. So if any of our viewers have any questions or comments or anything that you want us to be aware of, you are very much a part of this conversation. Chime in, type in the chat. Let us know what it is that you would like to know more information about. And of course, tell them, if you will, your website so that they can get this book.
Absolutely. My website is soullift.net, and I have everything linked on that first page. That's SOULLIFT.net. Soullift.
Awesome. 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 All right. Well, on to this next project. I have purchased my copy, and I know that this was a collaboration of 90 authors, which honestly, back when we did this one, my life was really crazy for a little while. And so my hat truly goes off to the producer of this book for coordinating such a huge project. But to hear from so many different voices, that is going to be amazing. And the topic, everybody needs some kind of joy. But I understand these are testimonies where you're uplifting people. So I'm not going to take it away from you. And thank you, Kelly Joyner, for typing soullift.net in the comments for us. We appreciate that. So tell us about this project.
Yes, so my new project is Finding Joy in the Journey. This is volume two that my good friend Tessa is has gotten collaborators to participate in. She is a grief counselor, and she really helps people through the grieving process. So her goal is to give in this devotional opportunities for us as authors to talk about finding joy in the journey. How do you get through your difficult times? We all have them. And just like we talked about teaching the children how to navigate life, we have to learn how to navigate any of our grief, any of our difficult times. And I say all the time and posted very recently that any loss we experience some stage of grief. You may not have depression, you may not go through the anger stage. However, there is some part of grief that you go through when there's loss of a relationship, loss of a pet, loss of a dream. I talked early on about my son who was premature. He was born at 27 weeks. And I told people I had to dream, I had to grieve what my dream was of bringing a healthy baby home at the end of my pregnancy when I left the hospital, because he stayed in the hospital for 83 days. So I went through the grief process. Now I didn't experience anger. I had some sadness there, but we all go through that process. And so listen, I have read most of them in this journal. I have them, but they're so encouraging, and people will get so much out of it. And there is something in there for everybody, because what I write about may not resonate with you, but there's somebody in there that their story or their encouragement will resonate for finding joy in the journey.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And as you said, everyone has grieved something, and it looks different for every person. Several people can lose the same thing, but their reaction is different. And the stages of grief that they go through are different. And so reading and hearing other people still helps and uplifts us, because sometimes, like the one of the authors that I had on last week, the way she endured breast cancer and applied humor at every step, her wig flying off and trying to get ready for a date, everything, she made it humorous. And so this is not another sad book about her journey. And so sometimes, we do have to cry, but at the end of the day, we can sometimes apply humor to situations that we may not even think about. So just figuring out how and gaining from how somebody else endured and got through. And then sometimes we look and we're like, oh my goodness, look at all of what this person has been through, and then sometimes it helps us to, take the load off and stop fretting so much over small things. Because sometimes we have we do that, but just having that faith to know that whatever it is, God's going to help us. He's going to get us through in that faith. And so I can't wait to get my copy to read it. And so thank you very much for your contribution to that and sharing about it. Congratulations to you and to all of the authors. What's the official release date?
We will be releasing on Monday for our ebook. Monday.
Oh, awesome.
Will be the ebook release date, and I'll post the other information as well, the other dates as well. But I'm very excited about it. Again, I haven't read every single one, but the ones I've read they've uplifted me. So I got to start with this as well.
That is what's important, because in this day and time, we all need some type of encouragement, some type of uplifting. So you're a very busy person. Tell us when you find time to write now, and then what other projects do you have in the future? Because even though your shelf is almost filled, I know you, and I know that you're not going to stop. And you don't specifically have to tell us the titles, but what is up your sleeve? Because I know there's more to come.
Absolutely, there's always more. Now that I tell people I've unleashed the beast. A writing beast, and I really just want to keep going. I have so many ideas that come to me, and when you talk about time to write, I just make the time. It's just like with anything I want to do, anything we want to do, we make time for if it's important to us. So you'll find me writing on receipts sometimes when I have a thought, or putting a memo in my phone, or getting a post-it note and just posting it. I have a wall that I just post my post-it notes on with ideas. And so when it's time to write about that particular thing, then I just go pull out my notes and start. But as far as what's next, so I have one children's book that I've already have the illustrations, and it is almost ready to go. It's another encouragement for young ladies about loving themselves. Then I have something that's near and dear to my heart about my grandfather that I'm still waiting on the finalized illustrations for, but I hope to have both of those books out end of this year, beginning of next year time. And then I'm also working on my own devotional, which is a compilation of things I've written over the years. Prayers, some songs, some poems, some encouraging devotionals, and things like that. And that's going to be for 365 days to my delight, I think.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing, but you're very much like me. I know you have a background of being an English teacher, and so that's what I do too. I mean, that really made me laugh when you said receipts. Any piece of paper that I can find, and I know just where to keep it in my wallet so that I can pull it out when it's time to compile it all. So the memos, I may be typing into my phone, I may be speaking into my phone. I have stuff everywhere. And then when it's time to sit down and compile it, I just kind of pull it all together. But you use every piece of time that you actually have. I'm sitting in the doctor's office waiting. I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting. Wherever I am, I've done it at the drive-through. So if it's something you want to do, if it's in there and you want to get it out, you'll find time. Just like you said, we find time to do what it is that we want to do. And again, I'm amazed with everything that you have on your plate, that you know continue to produce all of what you do. And I know that there is so much more, and I know that one day when you retire, you're going to be just like me. My brother-in-law calls me the book lady, because if I'm not publishing a book, reading a book, writing a book, I'm listening to an audio book. And sometimes I'm listening to an audio book while I'm doing all of these other things. And so all day long, every day, it's books, 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 books. I mean, that's what I love. They give me so much joy, and I love creating them, and I love working with people who are on a roll of creating them, such as yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I do have one other thought. People always ask me about writing books and publishing books, and they ask me, what's your secret? How do you do it? Two things I want to encourage people to do, and it's what you just mentioned: read everything you can. And then if you have a certain type of book you want to write, read that type of book to figure out your niche and kind of where the market is at this point. And then write. Just writing. Like we said, on whatever you can, however you can, whenever you can, just write. And it doesn't all written in one time frame. You don't have to sit down for an hour and write. You write for 5 minutes in a journal, or sit on your porch while the sun is setting and write about the sunset, just to get the juices flowing.
Exactly, exactly. And that's funny because I had someone contact me yesterday, and on her job, she had to write a technical piece, but she was having a brain freeze, and she just, writer's block. She said, "How do you get through it?" I said, "I listen to other books and I read. That's the best way to get those thoughts going." And, it's okay, because, you don't always have those thoughts on point. But if you do listen, not that you're stealing or plagiarizing what you just heard, but it really gets your juices flowing and your creativity going. So that's great advice. All right. Well, you have given your website, which has your other contact information on it. It is in the chat for anyone who is going to view after tonight. I am very pleased with all the information that you shared about all of your publications and everything that you have that's coming out. You're an excellent writer, excellent speaker, just gifted in that area. And so it's been a real pleasure working with you. Anything that you would like to share? Anything else before we close out?
I just appreciate you again and everybody that joined. Some of my girls are on here. Kelly's one of my friends, and I appreciate her. I think a couple more are on here. I don't see their names right now, so I appreciate them joining. And anybody else that's going to view this afterwards, check out soullift.net, and also check out hadassahscrown.com if you are interested in publishing. Dr. Leverett is your girl. She's the one. She's very easy to work with and will help you to bring your vision into manifestation.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. And I hope you will have a wonderful night. I know we'll talk again very soon, and you take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. We're going to flip over to Facebook Live at 8 o'clock, and we have another beautiful author that we will be interviewing there. So thank you again for joining us. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.